Hello and welcome to Treasury Notes, a financial education program from the West Virginia State Treasurer's Office. I'm your host, Gina Joins. The West Virginia State Treasurer's Office provides several programs to promote financial wellness. One of the longest running of those programs is SMART529. SMART529 is West Virginia's official savings and investment program to help families save for the cost of higher education. Since the program launched in West Virginia more than 20 years ago, thousands of families have invested in SMART529. Joining me today is Jan Otta, SMART529's strategic marketing consultant with Hartford Funds. Jan is based right here in West Virginia, and he travels the state educating people about the benefits of the West Virginia SMART529 College Savings Plan. Jan, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me.
And we love to talk about SMART529. It's such a great program here in the state, and it's been around now for more than 20 years.
No,
hard to believe.
Yeah.
But still, even though it's been around so long, many new families may not be familiar with this program. Sure. I know you're always getting questions and having to educate people about this program. So why don't you just start by giving us a quick overview of what is SMART529?
Sure. Thank you again. Yeah, it's a real pleasure for me to travel around the state and get to see so many people and talk about SMART529 because I'm very passionate about it. It is a way for people to set aside money to save for some form of higher education. The easiest way to explain it to people who have never heard it before, at least for me, is to say that what 401k is to retirement, 529s are to college savings plans. Because people are familiar with that, but they're not necessarily familiar with 529. You can set aside money and make sure that you have it invested in a portfolio that has been proven over time to do really well. And then whenever the time comes, your beneficiary can use it for some form of higher education, like you said.
All right. Well, you talk to families, as you said, all the time about this program. Can you tell us why there is such a need for a savings mechanism like this for college and other types of higher education? Sure.
I think that a lot of people will set aside money in savings accounts, which is great, but savings accounts weren't designed to grow at the way SMART529 and 529 plans in general are designed to grow. They're investment portfolios. So in other words, when you put money into a SMART529 account, you have choices of different ways that you can invest it, and then hopefully over time, whether your child is 1 or 5 or 10, by the time they need it, it will have grown to an amount that you can use to help pay for a variety of things for higher education.
And I mentioned at the beginning of the show that even though it's been around for more than 20 years, some new families may not know a lot about SMART529, or they may not have heard about it yet. And when we talk about new families, that's an important audience for SMART529, because obviously the earlier you start saving for your child's education, the better. So let's talk a little bit about that. Do you start right when a child is born? When is the best time to start that savings program?
So it might be a cliche, but it is never too early or never too late to start saving for that higher education. Certainly, like you said, the earlier you can save, the better, because you have longer for more money to go into it, longer for the money that you put in to have the opportunity to grow. You know, if you can start early when the child is not even yet in kindergarten, you're going to have a leg up on many other places, or many other families, that don't necessarily think about doing it as early as they can. And you don't have to start with a lot of money. You can open an account for as little as $1. Obviously, if you just put $1 in, it's not going to grow a whole lot. But if you can put in just a little bit every month, or even if you can't put in any every month, if you can put in lump sums when you can afford to, the more that you put in for a longer period of time, the better chance you have for that money to grow and actually be able to provide enough to help pay for, whether it's tuition or room and board or whatever it might be, college, vocational school. It's important to make sure that you start as early as you can. If you tell me that your child is 10, I'm going to say, great, you've got plenty of time. If you tell me that your child is 5, I'm going to say, great, you got plenty of time. Even if they are 15 or 16 or 17, you don't have a ton of time to save, but the best thing that I can tell people is that every dollar that they save ahead of time is $6, $7, $8 in student loans that child won't have to take out.
Sure, that's a great incentive to start. And speaking of incentives, if you start early, there is a fantastic incentive to start early. It's called Bright Babies. It's a $100 incentive program for the SMART529. Tell us about the specifics on this, because it's just when they're young that you can take advantage of this.
It is primarily just for when they're born. So if you open an account for a beneficiary that is born in the state of West Virginia, if you open that account before they turn 1, Hartford Funds will deposit $100 into the account to help kickstart that plan for that child. I said mostly it's for young. It also does apply to adopted kids. So if a family adopts a child, regardless of the age of the child at adoption, from their adoption date, if you open that account within 1 year, you also get that $100. Now, $100 might not sound like a lot, but particularly in terms of like infants, that's 18 years that you have to build upon that $100. It's a wonderful foundation. The more you can get in earlier, the better. But to have that foundation of $100 starting it out is wonderful.
And this isn't even a match. I mean, as you said, you can open an account for $1, $5,
exactly.
$10.
Right.
You're still going to get that $100 as long as you do it within the parameters of,
that
as you
first year
said,
after
before the first birthday, or if they're adopted
Right.
before the first anniversary
Right.
of adoption. All right. Well, some other incentives, also state, federal tax advantages. This
Absolutely.
is a big one with 529s. Definitely a big reason why people think this is a good program for them and a good fit. So talk a little bit about that.
And this is a benefit specifically for West Virginia residents. So if you're a West Virginia resident, obviously you file state taxes every year. Every dollar that you put into the 529 plan, the SMART 529 plan, that is a dollar for dollar deduction that people get to take off of their state taxable income. So in other words, if they make $50,000 a year and they put $5,000 into their SMART 529 account, then for their state tax purposes, they will make $45,000 a year. That can, be a substantial difference in the amount of state taxes that a family has to pay over the course of that year. So if it's money that you're planning on investing somewhere anyway for that higher education, putting it in the SMART 529 plan, you're going to at least make money back from the state of West Virginia. And that's the only plan, the SMART 529 plan is the only plan that provides that tax incentive within the state of West Virginia.
All right. And you mentioned the opportunity for growth. It is an investment program.
Right.
So there are several investment portfolios and options to fit a variety of needs. Tell us a little bit more about that, how this can be tailored to your needs.
Certainly. So there's essentially 4 different types of portfolios that people can choose from when they open the account. The first one is what we call our age-based portfolio. The type of portfolio it is, or rather the type of investment it is based upon the age of the child. So in other words, if someone opens an account when a child is firstborn, it is going to be more aggressive. It's going to be primarily in stocks. A chance for greater growth, but also greater risk. You have time to take that risk. If you choose it, exactly.
This is your choice.
This is entirely your choice, absolutely. You can go through and look at the different portfolios. I would say that the majority of new parents probably do that age-based portfolio, but you can certainly, pick and choose. And I do have to offer this disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor, and so if somebody does have questions along those ways, they should certainly consult one. But I do know from just being out in the field and talking with parents that a lot of parents, particularly of younger kids, will choose that age base, because whatever age your child is, your beneficiary is, it will do the investment tailoring for you as that child gets older. In other words, it's more aggressive when they're young, and then as they move into a new age bracket, say when they turn 4 or when they turn 7 or when they turn 9, it's going to become a more and more conservative investment, so that by the time they are 18, which they don't have to use it right away when they're 18, but just when they turn 18, that's the age that most kids are going to go to some form of higher education. So by the time they're 18, it is primarily in what we call our stable value fund. So it's more stable, more conservative, because you're getting ready to use those funds. However, if you are somebody that wants to pick and choose from different types of static portfolios and make your own decisions about which portfolio you want it to be in throughout the time that they have it, you can do that. There's everything from an aggressive growth plan to a conservative plan. And you don't have to put all your eggs in one basket either. If you were investing, say, $100 a month, and you wanted to put $50 into the age-based, 25 into a conservative plan, 25 into an aggressive plan, or whatever, you can do that. This is your money, your portfolios. You get to decide how those funds are distributed. Now, Hartford Funds manages them. They're actively managed on a daily basis. People who know a lot more about that stuff than I do, working to make sure that those portfolios reach their target goals. But if you wanted to, you can put your money entirely into what I mentioned earlier, the stable value fund, most conservative of all of them, or you can put it all or some into the index fund. This is a fund that tracks the Vanguard 500 index, and that's the most aggressive fund. that we have. So a lot of different choices.
And that's for the direct program.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's for someone who goes and opens a Smart 529 account
Exactly.
on their own.
Yep.
But there's also an option that people, if they want to work with a financial advisor,
Absolutely.
can go to a broker, and there's options there as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So financial professionals all around the state will be more than happy to talk people through how those particular plans work. I do want to be very clear that, like, when you do work with a financial advisor, they could show you a variety of different 529s that aren't necessarily the West Virginia ones. So if you do work with a financial advisor, you want to mention to them that you would like to talk about the West Virginia plan, which from a financial professional's perspective is called the Hartford Smart 529. The direct plan, West Virginia Direct, we just call that Smart 529, but the Hartford Smart 529 is the one that brokers sell.
And this plan is flexible as
Absolutely.
well. There's a lot of flexibility with Smart 529. You can transfer it from child to child, from different beneficiaries if you need to. So talk a little bit about the flexibility.
Sure, yeah, that's one of the questions I get a lot is that, well, if I put this money in there and my child decides not to go to college or not to go to any form of higher education, what's going to happen to the money? Well, there's a lot of different things that you can do with those funds, so you don't need to worry. First of all, I want to make sure that parents and grandparents, whoever it is that opens the account, I want to make sure they're aware they are the account owner. They manage those funds. It's not like the child can turn 18 and take the money to buy a car or something.
Right.
They maintain control of those funds. So let's say, for example, you mentioned changing the beneficiary. Maybe the oldest child doesn't need the money or all of the money. Maybe they use some of it and there's some left over. You can transfer the beneficiary to another child. You can transfer it actually to anybody within your family, and family means up to first cousins without any tax implications. You also have to remember that this is not just for college. We've sort of briefly touched on the fact that you can use it for college, vocational school, technical school, professional training. I mean, there's a lot of different higher education avenues that folks can use those monies for. And it's not just for tuition. We also have, you can use it for room and board, for books, for supplies. Just speaking from personal experience, we used ours to buy my daughter a laptop because she needed it for college. So there's a lot of different expenses that you can use. Room and board is not just on campus either. You can use the funds for off-campus housing, so rent and groceries up to whatever the school would charge for those exact same things. But recently there was a new development, a new law that passed that allowed for 529s, if you have had an account in a beneficiary's name for more than 15 years, you can transfer up to $35,000 from your 529 into a Roth IRA account with no tax implications. Now, it's subject to certain limitations. As I mentioned, does have to be open for at least 15 years, so all the more reason to open it when they're a baby, you know. Two, it is that maximum of $35,000. Does have to be rolled over into a retirement account that is in that beneficiary's name. Can you imagine being 22 with $35,000 in a retirement account? Not the worst thing in the world, right?
That's
so there's
fantastic.
There's different options. People should feel comfortable knowing that whatever the future may hold, none of us know what our babies or our 2-year-olds or our 10-year-olds are going to do when they grow up. Whatever the future might hold, you have options with the money that you put into a 529
And
account.
you mentioned, you know, it doesn't just have to go to a 4-year college
Absolutely,
tuition.
yeah.
I mean, there are trade schools you can use this money for, a lot of different types of higher education.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the possibilities are endless. And I want to mention, because this is a myth that happens all the time, is that it's not just for West Virginia schools.
So glad you said that. Yeah, I get that all the time.
Because a lot of people confuse it with the Promise Scholarship.
Absolutely. And Promise Scholarship, wonderful thing.
But that's a scholarship.
That's a scholarship,
yeah,
exactly. This is money that,
your savings.
this is your savings. This is your investment that you've spent all these years putting the money in. You can use it anywhere around the country. Of course, we hope that we can keep our best and brightest in West Virginia, and so we want them, of course, to try and use it in West Virginia schools. But I want parents to feel comfortable knowing that they're not tied to just the schools that are in our state. You can use it anywhere around the country at any institution of higher learning and at more than 400 international institutions.
And we should also mention, this is a good place to mention this, that you can also use it for K through 12 tuition with certain limits, I believe.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I think it was the Secure 1.0 Act that passed that allowed for parents to use, and grandparents, whomever, to use funds in their 529 accounts for kindergarten to 12th grade private school education tuition only. So, I
Up to
mentioned
a certain amount.
Yes, exactly, up to $10,000 a year. So I mentioned earlier, of course, at higher education, not just for tuition, room and board, books, all those things. At the K to 12 level, it is just for tuition. So you couldn't use it, say, to buy uniforms or books or anything like that. But if you are the type of person who is spending money on that K to 12 education anyway, why would you not want to put it into a 529 account where, at the very least, you're going to get that tax incentive for putting it in there? So it's a great benefit for parents who are using that for private school tuition.
But ideally, a person is saving longer term for their child and saving for some type of higher education. When it comes to that, there's a lot of tools available on the website that people can go to. There's a cool savings calculator and some other options just to kind of see where you might be at or what you might want to put into this program now.
Yeah, I encourage people to check out the website, www.smart529.com, because there's so much information on there. And I really get excited about talking about it, so sometimes I give more information than people can absorb. Go to the website, check it out, because as you mentioned, there's a great calculator on there, which I've used. It's a way for you to, you can put in your child's age, what kind of expectation for college, whether it's in-state, out-of-state, private, public, and from that point, it will calculate for you if you let it know how much you plan on how much you plan on saving, scholarships, those things. It'll calculate for you exactly how much you should put aside now in order to have enough to cover what you don't have the savings for.
And maybe it's not just you, maybe it's friends and family too, because there's some great gifting options with the 529 as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Tell us about some of the gifting options.
Yeah, so there's a thing on the website, which again you can learn about, called YouGift, where folks can make contributions to your account. And I should also mention that whoever makes the contribution, they're the person who can then claim that on their taxes. So, if parents have an account and they want to tell grandma and grandpa, hey, I know you're going to buy them a gift anyway, no matter what I say, but maybe instead of this gift, this toy, or this game or whatever that might only last for a few months or a year, how about throwing in $25, $50, $100 into their college savings account? So through YouGift they can do that, or they can do it by simply the parents giving them the account number that they can put on their check when they mail it in. There's also on the site a program called You Promise, where you can tie certain shopping things to your account so that
get rewards.
Exactly, that's the word I'm looking for, rewards. So money that you're spending already anyway, you can earn rewards through various shops and organizations to be able to then take a percentage of that goes into your 529 account. So that's a wonderful incentive as well.
All right, Jan Otto with the SMART529 College Savings Program, giving us a lot of great information. We're going to pause right now for a short break, but when we return, we'll talk to Jan about some exciting things happening with the SMART529 Education Savings Program. Stay with us. Welcome back to Treasury Notes. I'm your host, Gina Joins. We're here today talking about SMART529, a savings and investment program that helps West Virginians save for higher education. Jan Otta, a local representative with Hartford Funds, is here with me today to talk more about the latest opportunities with SMART529. Thanks again for being here, Jan.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the State Treasurer's Office has a contest every year where elementary school students in kindergarten through 5th grade can win money for their SMART529 accounts. It's called the When I Grow Up Essay Contest. This is such a great opportunity for students, and it's so much fun to see these essays. So let's talk a little bit about this contest, which is up and coming. Officially launches in January 2025, but it's opened early. So right now, if you're watching us right now, you should be able to go online to smart529.com, find out more about the contest, and you can enter early.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about it.
I love this contest. It's one of my favorite things that we do all year. The kid can write an essay up to 200 words or less about what they want to be when they grow up. And the awards are given out based on the regions of the state that you're in. So there's 5 different regions in the state. Within those regions, there are 3 different age groups that a child can win. So kindergarten and first grade compete, second and third, and fourth and fifth. Each of those winning essays, which these essays are so much fun to read, each of those winning essays gets $500 deposited into a SMART529 account for them. They also win $500 for their school, which is wonderful, and the school can use that money for whatever they need it for, so it's a win-win for the student and the class. And then those 3 from each region, so 15 kids, they get to come to the Capitol in the fall, where we have a banquet for them, and it's just so much fun because the kids actually get to read the essays that they have given, and especially when the kindergartners get up there, it's pretty adorable. But I love to hear because you'll get so many different things. Kids want to be veterinarians and doctors and things like that, but you also get physicists and astronauts and some jobs that I've never heard of, new tech and all that kind of stuff. It's great. It's wonderful. And they read the essays for everybody in attendance. Their families are there. Representatives of the Treasurer's office are there. So it's a really nice event. Then, out of those 15 winners, they select one at random who will win an additional $4,500 for a grand total of $5,000 in their SMART529 account. It's
$5,000 in a SMART529 account. That's a huge jump start on saving
amazing.
for college.
And at any age, whether they're the kindergarten winner or the 5th grade winner, that's still a lot of time for that $5,000 to grow. It's
well,
marvelous.
that's what I was going to say. You have to assume that $5,000 is going to eventually be a little bit more.
You'd hope so,
hopefully
yeah.
a lot more in some cases.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so great opportunity for these students to win money in their 529 account.
Yeah.
You mentioned the schools get a cash prize.
That's right.
So if you have a winning student, you're going to receive a $500 cash prize to use at the school. Then there's also a teacher essay contest tied to this. Let's talk a little bit about that.
So if a teacher uses this When I Grow Up essay contest in their classroom as sort of like an assignment or a project for the class to work on, they can write an essay themselves about what that experience was like, how they used SMART529 to maybe help with writing, to reach certain rubrics that they might have to reach or whatever. And then they write an essay about how they used it in the classroom. They submit it to our contest at the same website, and the winning teacher, who's selected from around the state, gets a cash prize of $2,500 that they can use for whatever they want. Yes,
yeah,
and I'm married to an elementary school teacher, so let me tell you, $2,500 goes a long way.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Such a great prize for those teachers out there. And the contest is open to elementary school students in the state, again, K through 5. You have to be a state resident, I believe, to enter. But it's not just public school students.
No,
I want to make that distinction. Absolutely welcome public school students to apply for this, but also private school students, homeschooled students.
Absolutely.
It's as long as your child meets all the qualifications.
The basic criteria are they're a West Virginia resident, they go to a West Virginia school, or they are homeschooled in West Virginia, and that West Virginia school can be private, public, and they are in that K to 5 age range.
And so you mentioned about the teacher essay contest.
Yes.
A teacher can gather the essays, submit them as one.
That's right.
You do need a parent signature. We should mention that. It is important that you have a parent signature with each essay so that they do qualify. But you can submit them as a classroom, or parents can submit them individually for their child.
Yeah, and now thankfully it's been made so much easier. They can actually submit it online at the website, which is wonderful. But we will still obviously accept the ones that are mailed in either through the classroom or individually. There are a lot of classes throughout the state that use this as a classroom exercise to help with learning about writing, learning about thinking about the future and whatnot. But if you wanted to do this as an individual, if for whatever reason your child's class, maybe they're busy with something else and they just don't have time to incorporate this, we hope all schools will, but I understand sometimes things get busy and they can't. You as a parent can do this with your child yourself and submit it on the website.
And typically this contest launches in January, deadlines in February, but it is a soft launch early to where you can go online and apply now if you want to enter the contest.
SMART529.com, just check it out.
And you mentioned earlier about the award ceremony that happens in the fall to recognize these 15 regional winners. This is such a great event. I know I've been going to this event for many years, and it truly is one of the highlights of the year for many people in the Treasurer's office. And I know for many of the people who work on the SMART529 program, because it's such a great event. The parents love it, the students love it, and the essays are fantastic.
The essays are really great because you can tell that they put a lot of thought into this. They really are passionate, even in kindergarten, about wanting to be that astronaut or whatever it might be. And they clearly have given a lot of thought, and they worked really hard on it with their teacher or their parent. And when they get up to read them, whether they are, I mean, you know, some of the fifth graders, they're certainly more eloquent than I am. But even the kindergartners that get up there, maybe a little quieter, but certainly just so full of life and excitement. And then when they call the prize-winning child, I mean, at the most recent one, I heard a great big gasp from the mom when that name got called. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, and it's nice, too, because the families get to come. People come from all around the state. You know, we have people from the Northern Panhandle, Eastern Panhandle, coal fields, everywhere. And seeing 4 or 5 or 6 people from a family sitting around a table just excited for their little one, that's nice.
Absolutely. Again, the deadline to enter is going to be February 28th, I believe, 2025. But go ahead and look at it now. There's the information up there on your screen. You can go to smart529.com/student entry to find out more, get all of the rules and regulations for the contest. You can enter now, so please go there, check out more. You don't have to have a Smart 529 account to enter the contest, but if you win, you do have to have a Smart 529 account to receive the funds, obviously, because they are going to be put into Smart 529 accounts. So it would be great if you get a head start on that, right?
True, yes.
If you plan to enter this contest,
yeah, go ahead,
I think Jan's going to encourage you to go ahead, open that account now. Let's just prepare for it. And
again, just, you know, open it with $1.
Yeah.
And not just for the contest participants. I tell this to everyone in every presentation that I give. Please just take that $1 and open the account now. Even if you can't make monthly contributions, if you wait until you have enough to open the account, you'll never open it, because we all find other reasons or other expenses that we have. Take $1, open the account, and then when you have an extra $5 here, $10 there, when it's a child's birthday, when it's Christmas, when it's whatever holidays you might celebrate, getting those extra funds to put in, if you have the account already established, then you're going to put that money in there. And if you have that account established and win $500, you're already ahead of the game.
Fantastic. Smart529.com. Check it out. See what you might be able to do with a Smart 529 account. There are a lot of possibilities. Thank you, Jan, so much for being here today to talk with us.
Thank you, Jenny. I really enjoyed it. Appreciate it.
That's all the time we have for this show today. You can learn more about the State Treasurer's Office and its programs by visiting the WV Treasury website. Also, you can stay up to date on the latest news and information from the office. Just like and follow WV Treasury on your favorite social media platform. Keeping you informed on the Library Television Network, I'm Gina Joins with the West Virginia State Treasurer's Office.